Welcome everybody to the stream. My name is Jose. This is Kendo Tips, and today we're going to be watching Kendo and talking about Kendo together. Welcome for everybody that's here. Let me just make sure I set everything up here. So I'm a little bit over the place today. Okay. First of all, let me make sure that if you're here and you would like to join. Oh, look, hold on. Let me fix the chat over here. Okay. So this is the first stream of the year. Thank you for passing by. It's been a minute since I done streaming, so I guess I did forget to do a couple of things. Let me just get that situated. Let me tell a little bit about my plan today. Today I want to share with you a couple of Kendo videos, a little bit of higher level. Because in my past few streams, what I was doing is I was comparing the elements that are looked for in different tests as you move up in rank and how they can relate to Shiai. So that's the goal for today. And because obviously we're now getting into the higher levels, before I was doing, Shodan, Nidan, Sandan. I think we made it to Sandan, I believe. And then after that, we have Jondan and Goldan from the testing guide that I found that is on the Discord server, by the way, which I'll post it in a second. Once I can find this thing. So because of that, I want to make sure that I do higher ranking videos. So we're gonna have a little bit of a higher ranking Kendo videos today and analyze them into Shiai. Testing elements into Shiai. Hope you enjoy that. Anyways, let me just make sure the chat is working, because it wasn't before. And if you're here, please let me know by hitting the like button or just sending me a message just saying hello so I can say hi back. I want to make sure that you know that the Kendo testing guide that I am going to share, if you want to see it better, you can go to the Discord, which it should be showing up in here in a second, I think. Yes, there. Oh, okay. The chat is a little bit slow, huh? Okay, there it is. There's the server. So you can go to the messages and go in there and you can join it. You can see the Kendo guide that I'm going to share throughout the stream, and I'll make sure I pin it so that way you guys can go anytime. Okay, now I kind of want to want to review a little bit some of the elements that we saw from the previous streams to make sure that we're all on the same page. 1 second. Okay. How's your Kendo week, guys? Like, have you guys been training? How was the holiday break? How are practices now that we're back rolling into the year? Let me know. And okay. And here's the testing guide. Let me just make sure that I'm like away from the testing guide, and let me just make sure that I guess zoom this in a little bit. Okay, hold on. Okay, I hope you guys can see it well. Okay. And this should be it. Okay, so last time we were talking a little bit about some different techniques and application of techniques. Let me go to the previous ranking real quick so we can backtrack a little bit. Okay, so we stopped at Sandan testing for Sandan. So the elements that are being looked for, as there's 6 elements for Sandan according to this booklet. And number 1 is, can you execute correct Datotsu strike from semi-eye? Have you become skillful in utilizing my eye, and can you seize a striking opportunity? This has been one of my main focus lately, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I feel like this is something that we cannot take for granted. We don't focus enough our practice, or at least I haven't felt that my practice having been focused enough on this element right here. Is your spiritual energy higher than Shodan and Nidan levels? And can you hold Tame before striking? Tame, it's an interesting topic, and maybe I don't like to say reactive waiting, but I feel like this is a very good wording for it, because for Tame, you want to make sure that you're holding back your pressure. So I normally say hold back instead of waiting, because I feel like when I say waiting, people tend to just like relax, right? Just like, I'm just gonna sit here and wait. But you do have to hold back or wait for that moment, for that perfect opportunity. But you also have to be aware of like what is your opponent's reaction in order for you to execute your technique. So I think this is a very interesting point to kind of start analyzing at this point. And the reason for that is because I feel like at this point in Sandan, maybe the techniques are already within you. So you don't have to be thinking about how to hit proper Daitotsu, right? Because that should be within your skill set. Hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not rambling around. Can you utilize Sen and Go? Like Go from Go no Sen, just so you guys are clear. Is your Tokui Wasa flowing naturally from your body, and is your hips lower back stable? I feel like this is a big point, and something that I see a lot on people when they first start, and even years after, is that their back is kind of like bent, like, you know, they try to be straight. And I don't know why I keep wearing black shirts for this. Hold on, I feel like people, when they try to be straight, they kind of like arch their back where they should be, you know, stable with your core, pushing your core forward instead of just kind of like opening up your core and like clenching your back. I think this is a very important point to be practicing about, to be thinking about. For some reason, YouTube is telling me that it's not receiving enough of my stream. Hope you guys I'm not getting cut off, but if you are, please let me know. So I try to do something to remediate this. Okay, so let me see. Can you execute correct Daitotsu strike? Semi is not just heading towards and launching an attack to your opponent. Semi established by causing your opponent to tremble. This is a very, very interesting wording, but ideally, the way I see it is to make your opponent make a mistake, right? Lower their kamae, freeze, open the center, make a rash decision to just go. Any of this type of things, that's the reaction you're looking for to have an opportunity. Go back, all these things, you're trying to make him lose their kamae so you can come in and execute your waza. Okay, this can be achieved by a variety of means such as kiai, kensen, tokui waza, etc. to invoke a reaction from the opponent. I like the fact that tokui waza gets added in here, because sometimes people think like, okay, my favorite waza, it's men, right? Like my tokui waza is going to be men, but it's not necessarily just men. It's also what you do to get in to execute that men. So sometimes the waza that they're referring here could be what you're doing to get in there, like suriage, for example, right? Or harai. So, okay, as soon as you notice a reaction or trembling from the opponent, seize the opportunity and attack. I think especially at a higher level, you're looking to anticipate rather than just attack. Just like watch to see the opportunity. You're looking to anticipate. Steven, welcome to the chat. Thank you for passing by. How are you doing? How was the Christmas and New Year's break? You guys back into practice already? I actually said Happy New Year's to Ariga Sensei. He told me that this year he might do the international gashiku, depending obviously how the situation with Corona is. So that will be interesting because that will mean a great opportunity to practice some good Kendo again. So let me see. Let me keep going. I like this phrasing when it comes to my mentality of Kendo, and is winning before you strike. And this is a big part of the approach that I try to do during my Keiko. I try to just not throw any waza. I try to make an opening and take that opportunity. That's a big focus of mine, and it's been for a while. So this is something that I appreciate seeing and exploring new ways of doing this. Okay, so last week we went over some of this stuff. Again, you guys can go and see this guide at the Discord. It's in the resources tab. Number 2 element, have you become skillful in utilizing my, and can you see a striking opportunity? Again, it's also a way, distancing is a way to create pressure for your opponent. So this definitely relates back into executing a correct Datotsu strike from semi-eye, right? The ideal Mai will be the distance where the opponent feels is far away yet close enough for you. That would be the ideal, but a lot of times your Mai is going to be shorter than your opponent's, so you have to take this thing in consideration, because especially if you're shorter than your opponent would have an advantage when it comes to distance, right? That doesn't mean that he will be the one getting the ippon. That doesn't mean that he's the one that will always score, because that is not the case by any means. But you do have to recognize and understand what the ideal distance is for you and how it affects you and how it affects your opponent. Very, very, very big points when it comes to practicing. Let me see. I like how they put this here. It is important to make sure your body remembers your ideal distance once you realize its range. So this is something that I feel like I struggle personally with, is that sometimes like I come too close to where my body can attack. So I could attack from a little bit further distance, but for some reason in the moment of the fight, I have the tendency, I've been having the tendency, I feel like I corrected a lot from that, but my tendency has been to kind of close the distance a little bit too much and then attacking too deep. So this is something that you definitely want to work on. It's understanding your distance and your ideal range, like understanding your range. This is a good point. Understanding your range and the relationship between your range and the distance you can have with your opponent. Because again, there's been opportunities where I can come in too close and then my range is bigger than the distance I closed in. Or the opposite. I've seen people where I'm practicing with somebody and they come in, but they don't come in enough. So when they shoot their men, they're just slightly short that they hit the mengane. So you always want to make sure that you, number one, understand your range, and number two, understand how that relates to when you're with your opponent, especially in the moment of a fight. Okay, is your spiritual energy higher than Shodan and Nidan level? So okay, this is not like a fixed standard, right? Because it could vary depending on the judges, I guess. But ideally, you always want to work on louder and stronger ki, just to make sure that you present that you're so vibrant to the judges. That's number one. Number two, that's one part for the judges, but for your Kendo, for Shiai, I feel that it gives you energy, it gives you confidence, it just gets you in the zone. It's so many things that good ki do for you. It just allows your body to just like work together. For me, it has become something that I feel much more that I can explain, but it's when Sensei says stronger ki is for a reason. Steven, you said the Christmas tournament and New Year's practice were very good. And practice, you're practicing as well. Now, that's so nice, man. I hope that Arika Sensei does the camp and I can attend. That'll be fun to practice over there with you guys once more. Okay. Tame is when ample amount of ki is collected. It's collected in the abdomen and explosively released with the strike once a favorable Daitotsu opportunity arises. So it is interesting because I feel that a lot of times when people are trying to close the distance, are trying to make pressure for the opponent, they tense up in their shoulders, right? So this is a very good visualization to like have the energy in your abdomen, in your core. So when you come in close, you make sure that you keep your core tight, and you are, the way I feel it is that I'm holding myself back, and then at the moment that I feel the opportunity it's there, just let go of the brakes and go forward. Interesting enough, if I were to start from zero, if I were to be on Kamae and go, versus creating this pressure and then going, I feel that the amount of speed from zero, let's say from 0 to 60, the amount of speed, if I am holding myself back, is so much more than if I were just going from zero from Kamae. And it's interesting because I feel like the motion, there's no difference in the starting motion. I'm starting from Kamae in both, but just this feeling, it just gives that much more pressure. I feel that when I do it right, the time that I do it right, my whole body is relaxed except for the ones responsible to push me forward and hold me back at the same time. So that way, when I let go of the brakes, I explode. But most importantly, my arms are relaxed, my wrists are relaxed, so I can throw my arms with that much more speed and that much more impact at that moment. So very interesting, very, very cool skill to develop, and that's something that I've been practicing a lot lately. Okay, I don't want to get hung up too much into this because we did this last stream. Can you utilize Zen and Go? At Sandan level, you are expected to initiate wasas by yourself, namely Sen, Sen no Sen, Shikake wasa, or Zen, Devana wasa, and luring the opponent using Seme, Go no Sen, or Oji wasa. This can have any form. What's important is creating an opportunity to strike. So big point that I want to mention before we watch today's videos, it's luring the opponent using Seme. So it's not just waiting. I would say I will add to this, adding pressure to the opponent using Seme to make him calm. The way I've been taught when it comes to Ojiwasa is that the beginning of the Ojiwasa is just the same as Shikake wasa. So if I'm going to do, for example, Suriage men, it's not that I'm just waiting there, or maybe just waiting there and like opening my men so that he can come from my men or my kote, whatever. But instead, I'm coming in and building the pressure. I'm closing the distance for my opponent. I'm making him calm. And if he doesn't, then I attack. But if I'm just waiting there, then my opponent has an opportunity to do that to me, to make me be the one reacting. So that's mainly what I wanted to say about this point. Again, we went through this last time. So is your Tokui Wasa flowing naturally from your body? The one thing that I had to say about this from last stream was that you want to make sure not only to understand and to learn your Tokui Wasa, but also what makes your Tokui Wasa successful. So for example, if your Tokui Wasa is do, what can you do to make the person come in like with the door open, right? So maybe understanding hitting men or the attempts of men before your door, all this type of things. This is very important to study, especially once you recognize your Tokui Wasa, understanding what do I need to do to make sure that my Tokui Wasa is successful when I do it. Okay, is your hips and lower back stable? we talked about this. So let's go into the points on executing wasa. Let's go into Yondan. Okay, what are the elements to successfully achieve the rank of Golden? Yondan, sorry. Okay. Number 1, can you realize a Daitotsu opportunity and never let it slip away? Do you know your distance and is your Taisabaki is on sufficient level? Okay, hold on. I guess. Oh, what a shame. Hold on. Okay, let me just open this up. Okay. Oh, I'm that dude that completely forgot to put this here. Okay, sorry guys. I hope you guys were following me. My bad. I took off the guide. Okay, so these are the 6 points when it comes to successfully obtaining the rank of Yondan. The first one is, can you realize that Daitotsu opportunity and never let it slip away? Do you know your distance and is your Taisabaki on sufficient level? Are you capable of expressing effective semi using your Kenzen? And again, we're gonna develop a little bit of this as I go forward. Are your Tenoichi and Ojiwasa developed to a sufficient level? So this is a little bit, I'm gonna say cryptic, right? Because what is sufficient level? This is where I feel like the judging of testing can become a little bit depending on the judges, right? Because if you don't have a standardized measurement, it's hard to say for anybody what sufficient level is. I think at some point it's tricky. It's tricky. It could be. I'm not saying that happens because I feel that there's an understanding as you go up in rank. So it's, anyways, I'm just gonna move on from that. Is your body naturally expressing Zanshin? So interesting enough, this is something that I feel that a lot of people get confused as being a physical action. To me, Zanshin is not just go through, turn around, and kamae, right? To me, Zanshin has to do with the connection you have with the opponent and the alertness you have of where the opponent can be, and are you ready to counter any opportunities that your opponent might see against you. So I guess we'll develop this as we go further, but I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, is there Kiken Taichi in your Daitotsu strikes? Okay, it's interesting that this is put here at Yondan level, because I feel that for some places the standard is to have this maybe for Sandan level already, right? But I can see how some people can go, without developing this specifically, because this is sometimes hard to see on yourself, right? I feel like you need the sensei a lot, especially at the beginning, to help you understand this element right here, because it takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to understand how to improve your Kiken Taichi and to see that you're not doing it properly. Are you showing Kigurai and character? Okay, we will develop, I don't mean to just skip that, but we'll develop all of these as we read their bigger explanation. Okay. On Yondan level, Wasa should be more refined and the amount of futile strikes should be fewer than Sandan level. For that to happen, the opportunity for a Daitotsu strike should be appropriately seized, and at the same time, you're also expected to strike after creating your own favorable opportunity. So, gone are the times where you just attack in your test and you hope you show that you have good technique. You have to show that you can create an opportunity and take that opportunity, okay? Obviously, all these skills are built up from the previous rank. It's a smooth transition that takes a long time to develop, but it's very important as you go up in ranks to understand what the goal is. And I feel that this is very, very important to keep in mind as you move up in rank, as you practice, as a matter of fact. because you're always trying to make the opportunity rather than just take the opportunity. Yes, when you're in Shiai, you want to take every opportunity that's there. But I feel that when you are in testing, when you are in Jigeiko, and even when you are in Shiai, you're trying to make that opportunity and understand how to also take that opportunity. Okay. A solid grasp of my eye is crucial. A solid understanding of distance doesn't imply a sudden movement into striking distance, but rather the process of achieving an entry to striking distance. Keep an eye for sufficient seme from Isokuito no Mae and striking from your own striking distance. Ben, welcome to the stream. Yo, so you know, we're going over the testing guide that we have in the Discord. I'm up in Yondan level, and what we're going to do is we're going to watch some higher ranking Shiai videos and trying to compare those elements and try to see the elements that we have here into application for Shiai. I wanted to make a little bit of a testing versus Shiai series, I guess, for the past few streams. Okay. The Totsu strikes from Shikamae are not appreciating. Okay. This is actually very good warning right here. Uchima, striking that distance, is between Isokuito no Mae and right before entering Chikamae. Any strikes executed beyond that is considered as a strike from Chikamae, which is not appreciated. That is because Chikamae is called Shi no Mae, distance of death. I like this. I like this little explanation. If you extend your hands, you will hit your opponent and vice versa. So, yes, pretty much at this point, you're too close. It gets kind of messy. It gets kind of crowded. It gets kind of like you tangle up a lot, right? So if you're at this distance, hold on, let me just close this real quick. If you're at this distance where you're past the Isokuito no Mae, you pretty much have one path to go in there, because if you try to go underneath, most likely you get tangled with the person's hands. And if you try to go up, you have to make such a big motion to go up that your opponent can just extend their arms and hit you. So at this point, again, it becomes more of a like spray gun, like when you shoot so many shots and you just try to see if you hit something. So obviously it's not Kendo anymore, right? We're not working on making an opening at that point. The opportunity has already come and passed, and it's just who can get it. So you want to avoid being in this position. Okay, a proper Daitotsu strike should come from the lower body, especially from the hips and lower back. I cannot agree with this more. This is so important, and you get so much more power if you stop focusing from your hands. If you focus on your lower body, your strike, it's completely different. Interesting enough, you have much more impact, but it hurts much less. It's a crazy effect, right? When you have a good understanding on properly striking with your shinai, you get a strong impact with little pain. Striking for that purpose, striking from Isokuito no Mae, it's important. Okay, I understand what they're saying. Yeah, because when you're, again, what I said, when you're this close to move around the sword, guess what you're gonna need? You're gonna need only your arms. Your body is pretty much just standing there. So, very good explanation. I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna use it. Okay, in regards of the desired Tai Sabaki at Yondan level, you should be able to move freely by utilizing Ashi Sabaki and Tai Sabaki as your opponent initiates an attack. For example, moving your body through Hiraki Ashi as you apply an Ojiwasa, or smoothly responding to an opponent's attack, etc. So, what they're trying to say here is your ability to switch your footwork accordingly to the situation. Interesting enough, this is something that I like watching a lot. If you guys follow my streams, you know that I like watching footwork a lot, and it's very, very interesting because there's some wasas where like you're not necessarily just going through, you are just adjusting your level. And we see this, we explore this a lot in kata, right? Like kata 6, when you do the suriage kote, right? That small adjustment of the center makes such a big difference into a successful strike. So this is what you're trying to apply at this point. This is what I think they're trying to get you to understand at this point with this message. Are you capable of expressing effective semi-ai in using your Kensen? Okay, this is something, Shen, if you're here, I know you asked this question yesterday on the Discord, and I feel like this is part of the answer as well. This is very important. Applying effective semi-ai using your Kensen implies ki. That could be felt from a Kensen at Kamai and at all times be able to achieve center from the opponent. Expressions such as power coming from the Kensen or Kensen feels alive are used to describe such state. This is interesting because much more like, I always say that semi, it's not something that you can just say, okay, this is semi, and the person is going to understand it. You have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to, oh sorry, this is kind of like too bright on my face. Let me just, okay. You want to make sure that you feel it, you're understanding it this way, you're bringing up this understanding internally of how semi works. So it's not something that you can just explain. And using phrases like this, that Kensen feels alive, I know it might seem a little bit like out there, like a little bit like what were you talking about? But it's true, right? It's a feeling thing, and you get this from just experience. Okay, so for that to happen, to be conscious of your left wrist. Okay, be conscious of your left wrist as you move in for semi, and make sure your upper body is stable. Try to view yourself as middling with your opponent's center using your left fist. Make sure you tighten your left armpit and not to sway your left fist back and forth from this position. So, for my understanding of what they're trying to say here, and this is something that I practice myself, I try to keep my right hand in center, not tight. I want to have it relaxed and be able to use my left hand to move my center. So I use my right hand kind of like as a support point, where my left hand, it's making my tip go around, right? So very subtle motions though, because you see a lot of times people try to do a lot of like big motions, which is not good in Kendo, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to feel the shinai of my opponent, see if I find resistance. If I find resistance, I try to get around his shinai and not fight it, right? Because I feel that if my opponent is trying to do this and I try to fight it, then he has the opportunity to go under and get me, right? But if he tries to fight me and I just retake the center, right? I now have the opportunity to control my opponent's shinai to go into my striking distance. That makes sense? Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Make sure you tighten your left armpit. Okay, we walk through this. So, main point out of this is to make sure that you understand the connection between your left hand and your right hand, to understand how to move your sword and approach your opponent. The way I describe it is in approaching your opponent on a safe way and not getting tangled up with your opponent's shinai or arms, right? You want to make sure that you can be in control without getting tangled up. Hope that makes sense. Are your tenouchi and ojiwasa developed to a sufficient level? Okay, let's see what they talk about when they say sufficient level. Having flexible arms and being naturally relaxed after striking are key in developing tenouchi and sharpness. In order to develop sharpness in tenouchi, it is crucial that the armpits aren't lifted before or after striking the tatsu. If your armpits were tight, the left fist position could be maintained and a correct tatsu would be possible. I need to visualize this. So if my armpits are tight, like I know, like I'm not trying to like bring my arms inwards, right? Like I'm just keeping I try to keep my armpits like my arm and my chest kind of touching. And when I throw my attack, I try to throw it forward, just directly forward. So I'm guessing what they're saying, like if you let this go, yeah, you lose. Yeah, okay, I can see what happens. If you let that go, the line of power from your Shinai gets broken, right? Because if I shoot from here, I'm connecting the energy from my lower body into the attack, right? But if I do this, like, it becomes just the wrist and the fingers maybe, and the Shinai tends to like be tip heavy and like break away from the wrist. So I want to make sure that when I strike, I keep my arm in the same line rather than opening. So I think that's what they're saying. If you guys think that it's a little bit definition on that, a little bit of a different definition on that, let me know if you think something else. Furthermore, Ojiwasa should be adequately developed, so when drawing a pressuring opponent, you can confidently seize a good striking opportunity from the target the opponent is aiming to strike. So this is okay. When drawing a pressuring opponent, so this is actually very interesting. You need a pressuring opponent to do Ojiwasa. Okay, I said this many times, and I said this before today in the stream, is that you want to make sure that you're not just waiting there, right? But this is very interesting. They mentioned a pressuring opponent. You need the pressuring opponent. You need the person to feel confident to come for the waza in order for you to do any type of counter, right? Because if they're not pressuring, if they're just standing there, they're not going to attack. Most likely, if you're waiting for them to attack at this point, it's going to be a lucky shot, or maybe nobody will get an ippon, right? But if they're just waiting there, then now they become into that reactive mode, and it's not the time for an Ojiwasa. So you do need a pressuring opponent. You need somebody that is coming in. If they're not doing that, you shouldn't get stuck into just, I'm going to do Ojiwasa, which I feel is sometimes the mentality of people when they go into test. They think that, okay, I need to do this wasa, but it's not the opportunity. I do have to say, guys, that with this guide that we're reading over here, one of the main things that it has me reflecting on for the past couple of weeks is the opportunity of when to strike. We saw that on the Shodan, I believe in the Shodan level points for testing, understanding when is the right opportunity to strike. This is something that I've been giving a lot of thought, a lot of focus, and something that hopefully I can share my thoughts on soon in a video. Which, by the way, I'm sorry that I haven't really been busting, or I've been all over the place lately, but I'll be better. I'll do better. Okay. Is your body naturally expressing Zanshin? Okay. Body movement is very important, guys. Body movement from the point of striking the Totsu to assuming Zanshin has to be naturally fluid. Okay, there are more pages to this. You can go see in the Nidan Waza, page 51. We're in 64 right now. Zanshin is a crucial motion of acquiring the opponent's sen. As such, you should practice striking the Totsu and expressing Zanshin together as one fluid movement during Keiko. Okay, what I said earlier still stands for this, is that I want to make sure that I have a connection with my opponent, and I treat him or her as a potential threat. So I cannot just say, I got my man, and just leisurely take a stroll and then turn around and think, okay, if I go in Kamae, that's Zanshin. No. I know some people kind of get stuck on like the person does something awkward to get out of maybe like the Subaseria. They do Hikiwasa and they go out on a weird way, and they say, oh, that's bad Zanshin. I think maybe the physical aspect didn't look as polished as possible, as it could have been, right? But the question is that person able to return an attack or to safely counter the opponent's attack as they were going away from that moment? Are they connected with their opponent? And those are the points that normally I'm looking for Sanshin, right? Obviously, we want to stay away from that whole thing like, oh, celebrating or whatever. That's not Sanshin either, right? That's something else. But for me, that's the main thing that I'm looking for to develop as I practice or study my Sanshin, is that I want to make sure that I'm able and ready and in the best position to either be away from my opponent and re-engage, or if the person is coming to me, I can deflect, I can counter their attacks. Hope that makes sense. I hope I'm doing it right. Okay, is there a Kiken Taichi in your Datotsu strikes? Again, very interesting that they put this for Yondan level. The ki in Kikentai refers to spiritual energy as it peaks. Each strike should be struck with such spirit. The Ken refers to the Totsu executed with the Monouchi of the Shinai, using the right Hatsuyi and the correct part of the Shinai. Tai refers to proper Taisei posture, where the lower half of the body is used to strike. So interesting, right? Because there's always this thing where I feel that the Shinai kind of, and maybe this won't make sense as I speak about it. Maybe I should find a video to show this. But we all seen those videos where the person is kind of like hitting in like this Superman pose. I posted on my Instagram a while back like a Superman looking pose for a man, and people would say, oh, okay, so like that didn't use the lower part of the body, right? Because the body's kind of like tilting forward. If you watch that fight, of course the person that he's attacking is going back, but the strike did come with the lower body as if like the moment. It's hard to explain it. It's easier. I feel it's easier to understand it when you feel it. But just throwing the arms forward or just falling into your opponent, that will be using your upper body, right? But when you are landing that Fumikomi in conjunction with your Shinai as it's coming forward, it creates that much more power. And maybe in the picture that I posted, the guy was overextending because his opponent went backwards, right? So just the fact that you're extending doesn't mean that you're using your upper body, but it's definitely a skill that you need to just practice and develop in order to improve it. But I feel like this definition helps a lot in understanding how to do this. Tai from Kiken Tai refers to proper taisei, where the lower half of the body is used to strike. Okay, doesn't mean that at the moment of strike you have to be in perfect posture, right? That's not always possible, but you do have to use the lower half of the body to strike. A solid Kiken Tai is established when all of these elements are expressed at the same time during every strike. When correct Sanshin is added, the conditions for Yuko Datatsu become complete. Yeah, and there's more things that we can talk about creating proper Sanshin. And there's some elements here that are not being talked about at this point, which is Sutemi, and we can talk about that at some other point. I don't want to make things more complicated. Are you showing Kigurai and character? As you refine your Shugyo, your character and Kigurai will begin to show from your Kamayan posture. Oh my god, this is, guys, I should maybe start a challenge, like show yourself at, when you started and show yourself now, because I can tell you, man, like the details of my Bogu, how wearing my Bogu looked versus how it looks now is like a different person. Wearing the hakama, the kote, everything. Oh my god. So you can see it totally. You can see it from the beginners, like how different the beginners look as you look now. But has anybody seeing your pictures early and then seeing your pictures now and how different you wear your bogu. It's incredible. It's crazy. It's a whole different person. And funny enough, I still have pieces of the bogu that I started with, and even wearing them now, it's a whole different thing. It's like it's crazy. Maybe I'll do that on Instagram. When spiritual energy is at its peak and atmospheres can be led from your posture and kamae, your character begins to reveal kigurai. As you cultivate your shugyo, you should be able to let beginners and those with little experience feel your calmness and spirit from Reiho to the way you execute your waza. This is interesting because when I first started Kendo, the sensei told me, we don't wear belts, but we show our rank through our keiko, right? And I think this is very, very, very evident when you see people, even from the lineup, right? You can tell who has the highest rank, who has the best, presence, just by them standing there and the way they wear their bogu and how they move around. As you pack your shugyo in usual keiko, technically and spiritually speaking, kigurai will eventually become second nature. Even if you forcefully try to display it during your grading, you cannot deceive the grading panel. I couldn't agree more. You cannot deceive the panel just by, somebody fixed my bogu and I look good now. It's like, it doesn't work like that. There's something that even like by the way you move and everything, it's just impossible to just I think fake, right? Anyways, so with this in mind, with these points in mind, what I wanted to do is I wanted to at least show a video from Ishizuka Sensei. Okay, hold on, let me just make sure I open up the VLC. Just because Ishizuka Sensei is Kendo, I think it's amazing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ishizuka Sensei. Okay, let me see. Hold on, where's... Okay. This probably took a minute to open up. Okay. Okay, let me switch up. Okay. So this is Ishizuka Sensei. What I want to do today is I want to make sure that we try to look for some of the elements that I talked about when it comes to testing. So one thing that I'm going to definitely be looking at in this video is going to be Tai Sabaki, right? Like the use of footwork, the use of footwork throughout the match, how he adjusts the center, how he finds an opportunity to get the center. Also, his ability to make the opportunity and seize the opportunity, okay? What are the things I wanted to say? Hold on, let me just reopen the guide that I just closed up for no reason. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I closed this for no reason. Maybe what I should do is I should like put the points, make like a little text box so you guys can see it. Actually, you know what? I probably can. Hold on. Oh, okay. Not this. Hold on. One second, guys. Okay, I need window capture. Is this one right here? Yep. Okay. 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 So we have this here. What I'm going to do is this. Can I make it? Okay. I don't think you guys will be able to see this here. Gustavo, ¿cómo estás? Saludos. Okay, yeah, I think this is too small, guys. I'm not gonna have that. Yeah, that's too small. Okay, I'm just gonna remind you of the points that I'm gonna be looking at. Okay, realize that the total opportunity and never let it slip away. So making the opportunity and taking it. Capable of expressing effective semi using your Kensen. So the use of the sword to apply pressure. Tenuchi and Ojiwasa develop a sufficient level. I mean, these guys are higher rank, so definitely sufficient level. But I'll be looking at the use of the wrist and the hands, how they approach their strike, and the different techniques they can do to make an opening. Is the body naturally expressing Zanshin? Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the connection between the opponents. Is there Kiken Taichi? And are you showing Kigurai character? Okay, I mean, even just looking at their posture, looking at their kamae, you can see the pressure, especially this angle right here, right? Anyways, let's watch this. So you see how they're using the sword to try to get the center, try to get on top of the opponent's shinai. They came into that distance where Shikamai Oof, great opportunity. Okay, so okay, great Suki. Let's watch this one more time. Let's talk a little bit about this. Is there Kiken Taichi? Okay, so if you see on the way forward, he's creating the power by launching with the left foot forward, right? He launching forward with the left foot. He's pushing in, creating the energy from there. It's not just the arms that make the impact, right? So on this point, we're covered. Okay, so making the opening and taking the opportunity. Let's see what he did. So you see, he is on the side from the shinai. He goes under and goes above, makes the opening by causing a reaction and closing the distance, right? He did those two things. He moved the sword around and started closing the distance and made the opponent have a reaction, right? Maybe even thinking him, oh, he's coming for my kote, let me protect my kote. But he swiftly went around and hit the Tsuki. Now, Zanshin. After the attack, he took the sword out. If you notice, he took the sword out. So the interesting part is that he took the sword out, but look at his body posture, right? He is fully engaged, fully attentive to his opponent. So some people could argue, oh, but he took his shinai out, like he's not putting kamae towards the opponent. Yes, but he was so close to his opponent that his opponent, if he missed the Tsuki, his opponent could have hit the shinai down. And okay, let me just do this. So he came in. Oh, in my humble opinion, okay, he came in like he was here. He comes in underneath his opponent, tries to cover for the kote, hits the Tsuki, right? But let's say that he misses Tsuki. His opponent could have knock his Shinai out and then hit him, right? So by retreating and taking his Shinai out, he takes away the opportunity for his opponent to hit the Shinai. Now he's swiftly going back, and in the case that his opponent decides to go for the man, he could also take the opportunity to deflect the man for maybe like a Kaeshido or like a Suriage man, any of those waza. And what makes it that much more I guess important to do this is because his opponent previously had the Shinai much more to the right. So if he would come to knock the Shinai out, he would come with a lot of momentum, a lot of force. So he's saving himself from that, I think, right? Okay, I'm going to say this from the points that we've been talking about. So he came in with Nidan Waza, right? He didn't get the Ippon, but you can see the stability, you can see the control of the sword. He makes the opening with the first strike. He came for like a man, right? So he makes an opening and he sees an opportunity for that second one. But just his stability with the footwork, his ability to create power on the second strike with that left leg definitely shows the level. I feel like a lot of people after that first strike, they just kind of disengage the left leg and they don't have the power to do the second waza. I like the timing in here as he comes in. So he's almost realizing this technique as a kotemen, right? Like the timing is like pop pop. The first thing he makes. Hold on, let me do it in slow motion. Hold on, this kind of far. Okay, so let me go a little bit back. As he comes in forward, he is making the opening with. Oh, it's not this one. Hold on, it's the next one. Okay, so he makes the opening with an attempt of the man, but it's not a full attempt, right? He's raising the sword, putting that pressure to the man. But if you look at the footwork, 1 and 2. Yes, it wasn't successful, right? But he definitely got a reaction from the opponent. I don't think it will be good for testing, but it will definitely be good for Shiai. right? You want to start getting the reaction of the opponent, getting the opponent's mindset and mind, and then getting control. Whoa, okay, so guys, don't do this. I feel like this is scary because, you know, I guess if White wasn't, if this was a fight like against like Japan and Korea, I feel like this would not have happened, right? Like he stopped. Now he touched the Shinai technically before the stop, so that could also be a Hansoku. Got to be careful with this type of things. Great opportunity for the man. See, he's using the wrist to control the sword. What's interesting about this is that, you know, he is not giving back any distance, right? In here, he's fighting the Shinai. His opponent fights back, right? He makes an opening and gets a very good strike on the man. Very good strike on the man. Great point to talk about is to make sure that you do not change your kendo when you're 1 point down, right? You want to stay true to your kendo because that's what will give you success if you know, if you have your confidence. But if you try to change your kendo after you score it, most of the times you'll fail. It's okay to adjust to your opponent, but you know, keep your strategy, stay true to your kendo. Hope that makes sense. Oof. This is a very important time, and a very important time to stay focused is when the encho starts, to make sure that you are hyper aware of your opponent and don't just make any rash decisions. For a time, there was a very big edit. You see, as red approached, white was ready to come forward. And this is part of not just being there waiting. It's about that creating tension forward and always have that forward intention. With this type of attitude, you have less chances that your opponent will catch you by surprise. See, every time red comes in, white, it's right on top of it. Very nice. So this is the big part about making sure that you are relaxed as you approach forward. You see, like if you, and this is the part we're talking about tenouchi and your arms, allowing yourself to approach your opponent with arms relaxed, but tension on your lower body, right? At this point, he's trying to come in, and then, why does he do this to me every time? When it's at the end, it's always like that. Anyways, approaching the opponent by relaxing the arms and allowing yourself to just throw your hands forward at the very last moment. This is something that you definitely want to develop as you move in Kendo. You want to avoid just that tensing up of the upper body. You want to throw your energy from your core and use your lower part of your body to create the opening and to make sure that you have the power behind you in order to get the ippon. Very important point to keep in mind. If anything, as you develop your ranking in Kendo, you want to make sure that you always try to keep your hands relaxed and use your lower body to come in forward to attack and to make sure that you have power behind your waza. Shen, welcome to the stream. Thank you for passing by. So Shen, you're saying red shinai is sticking out of white's neck, but the flag was raised still. Maybe the attempt Munetsuki was too late. Okay, first of all, Munetsuki, it wouldn't. This wasn't a Munetsuki. I think it was like a what's the name in Japanese? Mukaisuki, right? When the person is approaching, and that's not an ippon. That would be kind of a way to keeping the opponent at bay. But interesting question. Let's watch this for a second. The opponent got the ippon. I mean, white got the ippon. Hold on. Make sure we get the right point. He got the ippon straightforward, and before the opponent was able to catch the tsuki, and then if you see, he completely missed it. Look at the shinai; it's on the back, right? He went to the side, so he missed that opportunity as well, right? So at this point, like if he would have messed his sanshin, I guess they probably would have not given the ippon, but there was no contact there with the mune. The man was solid. He had a good opportunity. The opponent kind of lowered his kansen, so he gave the opening, and white just took the opportunity, and that gave him the ippon. How that makes sense? Guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button just to get this video pushed out to more people. I really appreciate it. And what I'm going to say is that a lot of times, and I've been saying this for the past couple of streams, you want to make sure that you want to build up all your skills little by little. You don't want to be overwhelmed. And big important points are not only to understand how to execute the waza, but also when to execute the waza. Again, this has been a very big focus of mine for the past few months, and it's something that I hope it has a good results. It's been having good results with me, and I hope that you get good results with that too. Shen, I just wanted to share real quick because of the question you asked at the Discord server. Now that I know that you're here. And the answer to your question about what do you do when somebody is trying to use a lot of sai or trying to knock your shinai out, I think it can be found in this point right here. Are your tenuichi no yuasa developed to a sufficient level? Having flexible arms and being naturally relaxed after striking are key in developing tenuichi and sharpness. But wait, hold on. Where was it that I read it? I know I said it earlier when I was reading over this. that I actually mentioned you as well. But let me see. If the armpits were tight, the left fist. Okay, furthermore, Ojiwasa should be adequately developed. When drawing or pressuring your opponent, you can confidently seize a good striking opportunity from the target opponent it's aiming to strike. Okay, so this relates as well for this, but mainly one thing that you want to do is, again, having flexible arms and being natural relaxed, so that way you can adjust to the opponent and not get tangled up. Ojiwasa right here in this point, for Ojiwasa, you should be adequately developed. So when drawing or pressuring your opponent, so the main thing is that you cannot just be there waiting. You have to make sure that you are drawing the opponent when they're pressuring to you, right? If you're there waiting, most likely you will get caught up. But if you're trying to come in and pressure him into coming in, with your arms relaxed, you're able to adjust and then seize an opportunity when they're trying to hit you somewhere. Shen, you're saying that was a close distance man, very little time for Red to react. He wasn't even able to lift his Shinai back to center in time. It's interesting because yes, the commitment may have happened close, and actually it's a very good point that you bring up. The commitment to the ippon may have happened when it was very close, but the pressure started from much before. Let me. Oh, sorry. No. Okay, there we go. Run button. Sorry. So if you see here, the pressure started from much before that, right? So he started closing the distance from before, and again, keeping the Shinai center. You see, he's closing the distance, coming in, and throwing his hands forward. You see, so like, look at the distance that his foot is covering. It's not so close. It seems close, but look how extended he is, and look how perfectly hit this man is, right? It's not deep, right? So that means that it's not necessarily it's too close. It's just that he managed to build up that pressure and explode at the right time. Theo, welcome to the stream, man. I am going to say that I'm sorry that I haven't fully replied to your message in Discord that you said about your observations from a beginner standpoint. I found it so interesting. I want to kind of make a thing on its own about it. You got me actually asking more and more beginners about some of the aspects of how they see things and comparing that to what you said. So I'll get back to you with that. But I don't want you to feel that I forgot about you, because I really, really love your message, really love your insight on that. And I think with that, we can help a lot of people starting into Kendo to feel more confident. Shen, it looks like an osai right before the men too. I wouldn't call it osai. I wouldn't call it osai, just because he is trying to feel the center before he closes the distance. But when he closes the distance, he's just, I guess, you see, like here is more of a. Oh wait, hold on. Where's my mouse? Okay, here he is actually covering for the attempt of kote, or not attempt of kote, like he's responding to his opponent's motion, that it almost looked like he was trying to go underneath his sword to hit the kote, right? I don't feel like right now at this point. Okay, hold on. Let me find the right point. Oh, come on. You see, he's not. He just put the sword down. I don't feel like he gave pressure. He just kind of came down to make the opponent bring down his sword and then attack. Okay, hold on. Okay, so he kind of brought the sword down. This is white. He kind of brought the sword down to make the opponent's sword down, versus controlling the opponent's sword by getting on top of it and controlling it down, right? He is not looking for the opponent. I think this is where, like, the appreciation of the arts it starts for me, right? I feel that if he would have pressured down, his opponent's natural reaction would have been to come up. Then in this case he might have got stuck with the shinai of his opponent. But because he came so relaxed down, his opponent anticipated his motion down, so he went down with him, and then he exploded forward to get it, and making his opponent relax much more down rather than tense on the way up. Maybe, again, we're assuming from what we're seeing. I'm assuming from what I'm seeing. Theo, that's okay, take your time. Took a long time to write all that. Well, I really appreciate the time you took for that. I really appreciate it, because it's also gonna make it good for some of the ideas that you mentioned, for people to understand and see that. So thank you. Good point, Shen. I mean, like, again, I'm assuming, based on what I'm seeing, based on what my experience, it could be different. You know, he could have done Osai and we didn't see it. Maybe yes, maybe not. Guys, I'm sorry I've been all over the place. Haven't really been focusing on the channel lately. I've been doing a lot of stuff that I'm thinking of the different ideas to do with the channel. A lot of people have been asking me to do Spanish content, but I kind of don't want to mix up the content in Spanish in the same channel. I've been, struggling a little bit with that. I would like to ideally make it a separate channel, but I just don't have the time to do all that at the moment. So I have a couple of things planned for the next couple of weeks when it comes to videos. I really like the way that mixing up the concepts of testing and Shiai to understand that these two are complements to each other and complement to Kendo rather than separate types of disciplines, right? I like to see it as Kendo being one rather than, testing Kendo, dojo Kendo, and Shiai Kendo. No. I feel like they all connect and they're all together. And I want to focus on this a little bit more for the next few streams. I am preparing, a little bit of a sheet of the elements that I want to be looking at when I'm watching the videos, and hopefully you'll find that helpful and useful and entertaining. So I'll be doing that. So thank you guys for everybody that's been passing by, watching the videos, watching the streams, and commenting, going to the Discord. I really appreciate you guys. I want to say thank you very much. For today, I'm going to leave it at this. I'll be preparing some more stuff for next week, and hopefully you enjoy it. I'll be doing the streams again on Saturdays, right? I know I used to do it on Sundays, but I'm going to start doing it on Saturdays around this time, 11:30. So hopefully you guys enjoy this time. You guys have a good time with this. Please keep me updated how your training is going, who is back into practice, and where you guys practicing at. So see, maybe at some point I can pass by and say hello and practice with you guys, okay? Guys, thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can pass by the Discord, join up in there, and just message me. I try to reply as much as possible, as quick as possible, okay? Thank you very much, guys, for being here. You guys have a good rest of your week, and please get some Kendo, a lot of Kendo training this week, okay? Take care.